of the Rogue Witch from Broom Book and Candle. Welcome to my channel. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, please click the little red subscribe button to get more videos from me. So welcome. Today's topic is my top 10 tarot tips. It's a mouthful. My top 10 tarot tips for new readers. I recently started an online interactive forum for individuals to learn how to read the tarot. It's really fun. So I've been thinking a lot about certain tips, certain little things that I do and think that I've learned over the years that I not necessarily found in a book. Some of them were I've learned from other folks, and I wanted to share that as a video for my online forum. And then I thought, well, I'd do a video for YouTube also. So here we go. My top 10 tarot tips for new readers. Tip number 1 is have ground rules. I believe that you should have some ground rules. Not going to read reversals, not going to read for couples. These are things you should think about before you set up shop. I don't read for couples. Inevitably, when two people are sitting on the other side of the table and I say something and one of them looks, yeah, and then the other one's like, no. And then they look at each other and it's all very uncomfortable and it's just not something I'm interested in. So I don't read for couples. Tip number 2 is to go back to the question. This was drilled into my head by my tarot mentor, Cheryl Sprague. She reminded me when you're in the midst of a tarot card reading to go back to the question. What was the question? Answer the question that was asked. It's sort of annoying to ask a question and not get an answer to it. Most people coming for a reading, they want to know, are they going on that trip? Or are they going to get that job? Or where's the man of their dreams? And you need to answer the question that they've asked, not something else, which leads me to tip number 3, which is don't be a twaddle pusher. I recently was at Hex Fest in New Orleans in August, and the fabulous Jason Miller was there with his how to read like a fortune teller and not a vague esoteric twaddle pusher. And I was like, this man is my spirit animal, and had to sit in on that workshop, and it was genius. All things he has to say, very smart. And I loved that because when you ask a question, people want the answer to that question. So don't be vague, like everything that's meant to be will be. You didn't answer their question. Or you're right where you should be. All things will land as they should. You didn't answer my question. So I feel if you're not connecting and not getting an answer, there are other ways to deal with that. And you'll need to learn how to shift. That's a whole different subject matter. Reading your client and having to shift your thinking. For the love of the baby Jesus, answer their question and don't be a twaddle pusher. Tip number 4 is to look at the whole spread. Whether you pull a 10-card Celtic cross or if you have 3 cards, look at it as a whole. Did they pull all swords or all wands? Perhaps they pulled all 2s. Look at it. Are the cards all yellow? It should speak to you. If somebody asked a question and they pulled, all cups, and they're talking about their finances, and that's the question. Well, their emotions are clearly wrapped up in this answer. And so that's where I would start, and maybe you'll need other cards, but we're not quite at the finance answer yet because we're so wrapped up in, an affair of the heart here. Like, look at the cards as a whole. Tip number 5 is to have a ritual. I ask folks to sit, uncross everything. Don't cross their fingers, don't cross their legs. Take a deep breath in, ask their guides to come in for a message for their highest good and to help with this reading. I have a little ritual. Cleanse the cards, cleanse myself, cleanse my client. Like, you have a bunch of things you want to get going. You want the person to be comfortable. Maybe they're a little nervous. Get them a glass of water. Have a ritual that you develop and you'll seem you'll be more at ease, which will put your client more at ease as well. Tip number 6 is to incorporate a pendulum. I use a pendulum to reinforce a yes or no question, especially. I often get yes or no questions, and you pull a card and maybe you don't necessarily get a finite yes or no when they pull a card, and especially if it's, Two of Wands or, Two of Swords, you're just like, well, that may not be an answer. So I pull out my pendulum and ask again. So I feel like to back something up, you can always incorporate a pendulum into your tarot card readings. I believe that is something that may help you. Tip number 7 is to say the thing. Say the thing. Sometimes you'll get a hit and you're working this muscle out, your intuition muscle. You're starting to read tarot cards and you're going to get information that not necessarily is in the cards. And you may get some information that is odd. My friend Luna Hacker and I talk about this all the time. Sometimes it seems like a really weird thing to say, and 9 times out of 10, it's exactly what they needed to hear. So just say the thing. I promise you, you'll be surprised at how often you are correct. Which brings me to tip number 8 is sometimes you're going to be wrong. You're not going to be right 100% of the time. No one is. You're going to have to accept that fact. I stand by the cards. You're an interpreter of the cards. The cards are always right. You may not have interpreted them correctly. So if someone comes back to you and says, you were 100% wrong, I don't know, and they give you this list of, talk to them, ask them, try to remember some of the cards that came up and maybe what you said and learn from there. But I promise you that won't happen very often, but you are going to have to deal with the fact that you may be wrong. And, doctors aren't right 100% of the time. The police aren't right 100% of the time. They probably have really good resources and they still get it wrong sometimes. And, you're the tarot card reader. You might be wrong. It's okay. Tip number 9 is to have an even exchange of energy. I am not one that does not believe you should give away spiritual services for free. You, at the very least, should be getting something in return. I don't care if you barter or if you charge, but you should get an exchange. If you start reading for your friends for free, you will always have to read for your friends for free. Don't do that. Join an online forum if you need to practice, like the Tarot Chronicles from Broom Book and Candle. But that is how you practice. You practice with other folks that are trying to practice. Join a club. Go take classes. But unless you're practicing and that's your goal, is you're trying to practice and you need a guinea pig and that's the exchange, is they're helping you practice, that's different. But there needs to be an even exchange of energy in the world. Again, I don't believe that you should not charge for spiritual services, so you can save your comments because I don't believe it. So that's just how I feel about it. And tip number 10 is really understand free will. You need to understand these folks have free will, and you could tell them all these things are going to happen, and then they go home and exercise their free will to not have any of them happen. And they might blame you for that. That's okay. If you tell someone that their true love is waiting in Massachusetts and they need to move there to find their true love, and they're going to stay in Albuquerque, well, they're not going to find him, and you're going to be wrong about that. But they exercised their free will to stay right where they're at and chose not to move to Massachusetts and chose not to find their true love. That's on them. So you have to understand how free will works. Everybody has to meet the universe halfway. Everybody has free will. So if you tell them something, they've asked you a question, they were offered a job offer in, or am I going to get the job offer from Massachusetts? And you tell them, yeah, they're going to get a job offer, and that they're it's very lucrative and it's the job of their dreams and they make lots of money, and then they choose not to take it, that's on them. That has nothing to do with the cards as you read them. So understand free will and understand how that works. So those are my top 10 tarot picks. Hi, Salem. This is Salem. Hi. Mommy's doing a video. Hi, handsome. So those are my top 10 tarot picks. If you have not checked out my website, which is www.broombookandcandle.com, and the "and" is spelt out. Hi, you can check out the Tarot Chronicles. That is our online tarot forum for people to learn how to read the tarot. It could be for yourself or for other folks. We have monthly prompts, exercises, and then we all meet live on Zoom the last Friday night of every month, and we all get together and we talk tarot. That's really the point. So that's the best way to learn, is to talk to other people and see what they do and have questions and get them answered, and that's really the point. So I thank you for joining me today, and as always, you guys go get your witch on. Bye.